Welcome to another episode of the Midwest Microbrew Podcast. I'm your host, Henry Nosek, and today we're going to Cleveland, Ohio to visit a true titan of the craft beer scene, which is the Great Lakes Brewing Company. Joining us today is Michael Williams, their brand development manager, and today we're diving deep into the DNA of their legendary brewery, from its incredible historic roots to the stories behind its most iconic pours. We'll also be talking about the holiday staple that everyone knows, which is the Christmas ale. And whether you're a longtime fan of this brewery or you're looking for your next favorite pint, you won't want to miss this conversation. Let's get into it. So, hey, Michael, I'm glad that you could join us today at Midwest Microbrew. I thought we could start off by just you telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do with the company.
Sure thing. So thanks, Henry, for having us. We appreciate the invite. I've
Hmm.
been at Great Lakes for 13 years now. I'm the brand development manager. I had to think about that for a second. My title. What that means is I'm on the marketing side and I execute our sampling team that goes out into the market and supports our sales team and kind of pull through a product from the store shelf or like at the tap simply by the tried and true method of the liquid to lips. So people taste one of our new beers specifically, like Cold Rush, the light beer, or one of the Midwest IPAs. They haven't had it before, they like it, and hopefully they pick up a 6 pack or a 12 pack. So that's my primary function. But I do a bunch of other stuff at Great Lakes. I started in our brew pub here. I know we're going to talk a good amount about the pub itself. So I did get my start as a busser. And I think it's very important for people in the industry to get their start kind of like on the ground floor like that, you know.
Absolutely.
Served for a little bit, did public brewery tours, always wanted to be an educator. It just ended up being about beer instead of about other stuff. So
Yeah.
philosophy, which I studied in college.
Mhm.
And then moved over to the marketing side in 2016, 2017. Took over all our training. So I do all the brand training for staff. We'll have accounts, distributor reps and stuff like that in. Um, and I'll educate them with that. And I do have for those who value the certification, I do have the advanced Cicerone certification. So whatever we want to get nerdy about today, we can talk about. Um, you guys talk
Absolutely.
with the brewmasters too. I don't touch stainless steel, so don't ask me about tri-clamp hooking up hoses and stuff like that. I don't do that, but yeah,
Yeah, well, we can stay out of that realm a little bit, but
I
that's
could I could talk, but yeah, right,
absolutely. No, yeah, we got plenty of other good questions for you here. So
yeah.
you've actually been around for 13 years. That's quite a while then. Um,
So yes and no, because we have plenty of people at Great Lakes who have been around for 20, 25, 30 years.
oh
So
wow.
just pretty cool. I like to
Yeah,
say I've
'cause
only been here 13 years. Yeah.
yeah, only, right? Yeah. Because the company was started in 1988. Am I remembering that right? Or is
You
that
are
wrong?
correct. Yeah. It's 1 year older than me. So that's how I either keep track of the age of the brewery or my age, one of the two.
Works
Yeah.
both ways. Could you tell me a little bit about the origin story for Great Lakes Brewing and then what
For sure,
inspired you
for
to start
sure.
there?
Yeah. So we have it's a fairly common origin story for an 80s craft brewer. In the mid 80s, the last operating brewery in Cleveland closed in 1984. And there wasn't a ton of exciting beer in the United States at that time, anyways, right? So our co-founders, Pat and Dan Conway, both did some travel on the European continent and then they encountered those fresh, full flavored beer styles that were available over there that simply were not being made here in the United States, or if they were available, as an import, they had lost their freshness, of course, because of the long journey, right?
Yeah.
To go over the Atlantic and all that stuff. So it's a common enough origin story in that they had that inspiration from trying European beers. Um, Specific, of course, to the city of Cleveland. There was nothing going on in the city of Cleveland. So certainly unique for us in this particular area of the Midwest, right?
Mhm.
The other big differentiator in our story is that, and of course, a lot of those early brewers grew up on the coast, right? So they were doing it in a different context, right?
Yeah.
There are still people ready to enjoy craft beer in Cleveland, but it's just, it wasn't East Coast, West Coast, like, especially West Coast, like a lot of the early craft brewers. The
Hmm.
other big thing with Pat and Dan is that they're like me. They're beer appreciators, but they were not brewers, unlike, let's say, a Larry Bell or a Ken Grossman, right?
Yeah.
Guys like that. So they had to bring some people on board to formulate our early recipes. Those guys being Thane Johnson, our first brewmaster. He's the one who, if people who are watching are familiar with us, they probably know the Dortmund Gold lager or maybe the Eliot Ness Amber lager. Those two recipes go all the way back to our earliest days with Thane.
Hmm.
And then Thane brought his friend Charlie Price. They both worked at Schmidt's. That was that last operating brewery in town.
Gotcha.
And Charlie was the engineer. So he put together our first brew house, which is still in our pub today. So that's kind of the origin of Great Lakes, how we got started. Certainly founded on traditional European styles with a slight American twist. I
Yeah.
would just say we lean a little bit more towards the traditional side compared to like West Coast brewers doing hop forward stuff. Like you see a lot of lager and like dark malt beers in our classic portfolio.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, I like that
Yeah.
traditional stuff. That's
Mhm.
I like that origin story.
You got to keep some room for the traditionals. If you lose your traditions, then who are you, right?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's why beer is popular in general. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
This one's kind of a trickier question. I know some of our interviewees have a hard time kind of paring it down, but if you had to describe your brewery in one or two sentences to someone who's never been there before, how would you describe that?
Yeah. There's a lot of breweries out there, so it's tough
Right.
to to narrow it down. And for a brewery that's almost 40 years old, it's tough. So like, but
Mhm.
our brewery and especially the brew pub is the heart of our top 25, craft brewing company.
Mhm.
When you come here, you can taste Cleveland's legendary craft beers where they were first brewed. Um, we'll talk about this a little bit as we go throughout too, is you can also try new and exciting styles like our Midwest IPA,
Mhm.
fresh from the source. We do pair our beers up with a fresh, locally sourced food menu ingredient. Um, and you can tour a historic 19th century brewery building. I put a lot of
Cool.
commas in my sentence, so hopefully that's not cheating, right?
No, no, that's that's what I'm saying. It's hard to kind of pare it down to a small sentence, so I might
It
expand
is,
that
but
question.
if you wanted it to really distill it down, as Great Lakes is like Cleveland Brewing's foundations,
Mhm.
and we're also trying to make it. This is going to me just now, kind of like also looking to craft beer's future in the city of Cleveland too. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah, so very
Yeah,
forward thinking in that way.
balancing the both. Yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned tours of the historic building, right? What does that look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, our little brewing campus down here, for context for listeners, we're
Mhm.
in the Ohio City neighborhood of Cleveland, which is on the near west side of Cleveland. It's just the Cuyahoga River runs through, it's technically just to the west. We're on the other side from where downtown proper is. It's a 5-minute drive. We have our brew pub,
Mhm.
and then right across the street is the main production facility where we've been brewing, all of our canned, kegged, bottled beer for, oh my goodness, almost 30 years now. So the tour starts in a space right in between those two. We call it the beer symposium, where you kind of come in, meet your tour guide, have a sample,
Mhm.
conversation, get warmed up and stuff, and then it goes through the historic 19th century former brewery buildings that our current facility operate out of.
Mhm.
Um, the building that our facility is within was a distribution center for Leonard Schlother Brewing Company, which was a major brewer in the late 1800s in Cleveland. So that's a pretty
Gotcha.
cool little thing there. So of course it's got also it's kind of neat old architecture in there. Slightly difficult operating a modern beer making business out of there,
Mhm.
but it's really, really cool. And certainly when the guys, founded Great Lakes, it's like, oh, we're not going to fill up this. It's a building that comprises one small city block in downtown Cleveland. So,
Oh wow.
so
Yeah.
there's a lot of charm in there. You walk through, you see the bottling line, Laverne and Shirley part of the tour and all that. Go
Mhm.
upstairs. I always take people to our new sensory area, where we have some very dedicated space for sensory analysis of our beers. And we have a special tour that actually is co-guided by our sensory specialist and my good friend and fellow advanced around Jacob Eaton. So definitely recommend that for people who are looking to come down. Those are on Fridays. But the regular tour is great too. You got an hour, you're with a Great Lakes tour guide.
Hmm.
We love to talk if you can't tell. So,
Yeah.
and then, you get 4 samples, you get an exclusive pint glass that's got a logo that's kind of unique to the tour and on it. And you
Oh,
get to
that's
see our
cool.
75-barrel brew house where all of our distributed beer is brewed and then
Yeah.
goes over to one of our 36 fermenters. Yep.
Gotcha. Oh, that's really cool. So for
Yeah.
the pint glass, are people drinking beer during the tour?
They
Or
are, yeah.
after?
So the pint glass is something for you take home for after, but you got four roughly 7-ounce samples on the tour.
Oh, cool.
It's a great deal. It's $15 and you got the pint glass and you got, I mean, that's almost 2 pints of beer right there, right?
Yeah.
So
Plus
there's
you
that
kill an
there's
hour and have a good
yeah,
time.
yeah. Put your name on the wait for the brew pub. You go on
Hmm.
the tour, you come back, your table's ready to go. You sit down, have a meal. It's a great combo.
Yeah,
Visit the
sounds
gift shop, of course, right?
obviously you gotta
Yeah.
stop there. No, that sounds like a great time. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
the viewers would be happy to participate in something like that. I
Yeah.
love it when there's more of a historical aspect to breweries and you get to kind of walk through and experience that. I
Yeah.
used
And
to
that's something we have that it's just something that makes us unique at Great Lakes is like we've got 37 plus years of brewing history. So
yeah.
I'll say in Cleveland, I mean, there are a couple of guys who have been around since maybe the mid 90s. I don't think there are really any breweries in Cleveland that from the late 80s, early 90s still around.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's common in other cities, with other brewers you've talked to, but like there's not necessarily a ton of super duper long time brewers who have been around
Yeah.
this whole time. A lot of guys from like 2010 on and stuff, which is awesome, but
Hmm.
not everyone has the history. So
Yeah.
pretty
No,
cool.
that's a great quality to have.
Yep.
Um, so getting into a little bit more about the people who come and visit, I'm sure that like you having been there for a while and the brewery itself, having been there since the 80s, you get a lot of regulars or people that are longtime fans. Um, you get a lot of people like that, and who are
Oh
they, and
yeah.
what do you think draws them there consistently?
We will certainly have regulars. Yep. I like popping down so my role right now being helping the field guys. Sometimes I'm at the brewery, sometimes I'm at home, sometimes I'm rolling around town, all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
So often I'll like do some stuff at home. I'll get to the brewery and go somewhere later. And when I
Hmm.
get to the brewery, I always like to pop into the pub. And so we have in the brew pub, we have the main tap room is this long tiger mahogany bar. It's a space that goes back to the late 1800s, just like the brewery buildings.
Hmm.
So, imagine like an old school long narrow bar that's kind of the main bar space.
Yeah.
And the prized seats are the seats at the two seats at the end, that corner down there, and
Hmm.
that's where those regulars go. And I
Gotcha.
just love popping in at like 2:30 and it's like, yep, the guys are here. Yep. Of course, these guys have been supporting us for a long time. If you were, in your early 20s in 1988, then you're now, I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
these guys are retired and they're able to spend even more time at Great Lakes, which
And
is wonderful.
the
So,
real regulars have been there forever.
yeah. And
That's
so we
awesome.
do have those people we have plenty of people, and I meet people out and about who say, and it's true, they've been there since day one. So it's really cool to have that, like people who have been going to your brewery for like 35 plus years
Yeah.
and like knowing remember when Pat and Dan were still managing on the floor and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're great people. I mean, like they come here because of the beer. It's always been top-notch stuff.
Hmm.
Like people wouldn't be coming back if it weren't for that.
Right.
But then you've got the atmosphere. I think one of the biggest things is the people in the pub,
Hmm.
especially having been a former server, having worked with many of these people directly. Like we've got Steve and Peggy, who have both been bartending for 30 plus years. I think
Hmm.
they both got to be at like 33-ish years at this point.
Yeah.
So there's
Wow.
just imagine being a regular at Great Lakes and like you met Steve in 1991 and like it's 2026 and you're still going to Great Lakes and
Yeah.
Steve is pouring you a pint of Commodore Perry IPA or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a
So,
sign of like when you see something like that, that's a sign of a great brewery. Not only
yeah,
that the bartenders and the people are staying there, but that your customers are coming in for
yeah.
year after year like that.
Hmm.
I mean, that's an amazing sign.
So it's just cool to see those people who are kind of there on the ground floor and journeyed with us through our growth
Yeah.
phase for those first 30 years and all that. I'm sure I know I know that, I'm not here later a lot, so I know the regulars who are on the older side who are usually here. But I'm sure we've been doing a lot of events lately, like Thursday trivia.
Yeah.
Doesn't start till 7. I'm ready to sit home at home on my couch at that point, right?
Yeah.
But I know that we have I'm sure we have people who are at that trivia like every single week, right?
Hmm.
So we have the new school regulars too. It's just in different ways. It's
Right.
probably more through programming and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'll definitely get into the kind of asking about the events and stuff. Trivia is that's always a fun one.
Cool.
Um, Kind of getting into the like the family kind of community questions. How family friendly is your space? Do you guys have kids hanging out there during the day, or is it primarily adults?
Yeah. So it's fairly family friendly for
Hmm.
sure. We got a kids menu, high chairs, the boost. I'm sure they still have booster seats. I'm pretty sure we had them when I was serving. We have those things to have the basic accommodations for families. And
Yeah.
the Conways wanted, this is kind of a differentiator for us when we opened up, was to have that family friendliness to
Hmm.
us. Like, at that time you kind of like beer when you were going out to have some beers, you went to a bar and bars are up and just 21 plus or things like that.
Yeah.
And it was a separate experience. By having the food and all that stuff, you can sit down and have a meal with those finely crafted beers that
Hmm.
naturally kind of lent a certain family feel to it. And Pat and Dan are two of 9 kids and stuff. They get the whole family thing.
Yeah.
So they wanted to translate that to their public experience. So yes, we're definitely family friendly. I served plenty of tables on, let's say, Saturday at noon, and it was the 10 top, and it's like 4 adults and the 6 kids, and it's like
Hmm.
get those little water cups going and all that. So
Yeah.
difference. Some places have the wide open spaces, right? We don't have that because we're in these old school buildings.
Hmm.
So if you got the, 5-year-old who needs to run around, a little tougher.
Yeah.
um, Take them to the place that's got the wide open field or whatever, right? But I'm not saying they're not welcome. It's just there's not a lot of room to get around. We
Yeah.
do when it's nice out, when it's patio season. I've seen this giant tic-tac-toe thing, so we have some fun stuff like that too.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, totally generally family friendly. I just know some people like to bring the kids and like let them scurry and stuff. It's just a different environment because we're kind of confined, if
Yeah.
that makes
They can get
sense.
their energy out beforehand. That's
Yeah, before and after, yeah. They run
absolutely.
up and down the West 25th Street. There's all these businesses, the market across the street. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Good
there's ways
stuff.
to get the energy. Yeah,
Yeah, that's always a good sign too when there's a, nice little community to be involved in.
totally.
So you mentioned trivia night. Do you guys have any like regular events like that that are bringing the community together?
Yes. Let's see. We've got that. And the trivia has been extremely, and that's a fairly common thing these days, but
Yeah.
nonetheless,
It's good to have.
um, the Thursday night trivia, and that's if you're thinking about coming down for that, if you're watching this, you're thinking about coming down for that, definitely make reservations for that and note
Hmm.
that you're interested in trivia. As it's in a room upstairs that is relatively confined in space. So,
Hmm.
first dips for people who make rezos and things like that. But yeah, the pub has recurring events all the time. There's Brewmaster Stash. I want to say that's the first week of the month, Thursday, something like that, where our pub brewer, who might be sitting right outside the office I'm in right now, he'll have something special like an infusion keg, an infusion of one of our regular beers, like Conway's Irish Ale is out right now. So infuse it with whatever Lucky Charms. I don't know, something like that. So it just came to me. Actually, it's not a bad idea. That kind
Sometimes
of
that stuff
thing.
turns out really good.
You never know. It's just fun. I like
Yeah.
the crazy stuff. I like the traditional stuff. I like the crazy stuff too. Pastry
Yeah.
stouts and all that. We have fairly like year by year beer dinners that will recur. Like we've done holiday beer dinners. They change a little bit how they look. But we'll do that kind of stuff. They're doing kids eat free on Tuesdays right now. There's
Mhm.
half off now. This one for me, half off wine Wednesday. I'm like, hey, cool. They get a beer while you're here. Okay, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets people in the door. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the
Obviously,
day, it's a brewery, so you
we
gotta,
want anyone to come down here and enjoy their time down here, but have beer too.
yeah, might as well as long as
Um,
you're there.
then there's stuff like that we've been doing, like there's a kind of regular recurring stuff like that, and then there's things that go for longer periods of time, like pop-up bars that have been big for us lately.
Hmm.
So those of us who are watching who know Great Lakes, if there's one thing you know us for, it's the Christmas ale, probably. So during the
That's what
holiday
I read on the
season,
website. Yeah.
yeah, it's I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. We'll save
Mhm.
the heavy duty Christmas ale talk for later, but
Okay.
like um during the holidays, we have main floor and then there's the cellar pub, which is a really nice, cozy space to go down to any time of the year that it's open.
Hmm.
But during the holidays, the pub crew really decks that out with just a crazy amount of, almost overwhelming, but not totally overwhelming amount of Christmas lights and other decorations. Those
Yeah.
special cocktails down there, that whole kind of thing. So in addition to like the literally recurring every week or once a month type things, we'll do stuff like that too, which people have really bought into and enjoyed. We have a Harry Potter. We're doing this. We're recording this in January, early 26 right now. We just did this Harry Potter pop up bar, and it was like totally packed to the gills. So it's
Wow.
like, yeah, cool,
That's pretty cool.
wonderful.
I know some friends of mine that would be really into that. So.
My wife is like ready to go. Yep. Actually, I should probably mention that to her. Yeah. Again.
Yeah. The Harry Potter fans, they're they have an intense fanship for their stuff. For
Indeed.
sure.
Yep.
So for someone visiting from out of town, what practical information should they know before they get there, you think?
So because we are in an old school neighborhood,
Hmm.
there's not a ton of parking. There is parking, but there's a paid lot across the street. We certainly don't own any parking. It's all city parking. There's a lot across the street that's there right now. Eventually it's going to be gone, depending on when people are watching this. There's plans for a hotel to go there. But for now, there's a parking lot. It's right outside this window that I'm pointing at right now. It's right across the street, paid parking. It's something like $8 or whatever. I think it goes up later in the day to 12. Um, Depending on, on what time of day or what part of the week you're coming by. There might be some spots that might be full already. There's also a large parking lot. Kind of it's like a less than 5 minute walk. It's across the main drag, West 25th, and it's behind the historic West Side Market, which is our public market down here.
Hmm.
And that's another paid lot that usually has some spots because that's pretty big. There's
Okay.
street parking spots immediately outside they're like along the main road are metered, but most of the street parking is free. I have this weird knack of finding parking really easily. So I'm just not going to judge the ease of finding parking.
Yeah.
I
I
know
wish
that
that was me.
I know I can find parking. My wife's always like, oh, yeah. So
Problem for some people.
I'm stingy. I don't like paying for street parking or any parking. So, but you can definitely find street parking too. We encourage reservations for sure. We use Resi, so I think that's a pretty familiar platform for people.
Hmm.
If you're coming here on a Saturday, I definitely make baseball game. Cavs, we're the official craft beer of the Cavs. We are for
Cool.
Cavs. There's like
I'm
this.
freezing. Can you still hear
So,
me? Hello?
oh yeah, you're kind of in and out for a second. I can hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
your face is frozen. I think you're back.
am I back? Yeah, it said my connection. I lost connection there for a second. Maybe my maybe my wires
You got
froze or
the
something.
unstable
It's cold
connection.
out there. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
were
I
just
mean, seriously, right?
what's that? Oh yeah, the wires. No, I
Can
was
you
gonna
hear
say
me?
I
Am I
forget where we
coming
left
in?
off after the parking. We're talking about parking. And-
So after parking reservations,
Mhm.
we definitely encourage them. Saturdays for sure. It's bumming down here all day. Other busy times like we get busy around sports, so especially for Guardians baseball games, people will come on over here before they head down to the ballpark. We are the official craft beer of the Cavs, Cleveland Cavs
Oh,
basketball.
nice.
Um, we get a little bit of business for them. There's a little bit more of a natural relationship between baseball and beer.
Mhm.
But really, we just encourage a reservation anytime. It's helpful for us just so we kind of know who's coming in the door.
Yeah,
And then it just guarantees that you have a spot, right? So
absolutely.
again, trivia, if you're doing that for big stuff like that, you're going to want to make a reservation. And always check. There's some very rare days where we wouldn't do resos, like on the Christmas sale first pour day, which we'll get to at some point.
Gotcha.
Everything's the only other things, like if you got any needs for like stairs, like we do have some narrow staircases, again being in these older buildings. There's plenty of like seating on the main level too, so it shouldn't be a problem for finding a spot for anybody. There
Yeah.
just might be a little bit of wait in case, like, if you need to go, you can't go upstairs and everything's full, what I mean, on the first floor. But
Mhm.
otherwise, things are pretty typical. I would just say that the parking's the big one, probably, and make reservations definitely for Saturdays.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I mean,
Yep.
that's a good sign that people are having to make reservations. A lot of people showing
Yeah.
up.
Hmm.
Um, so getting into some of the beer questions,
Yeah.
would you be able to walk me through your core lineup and then kind of the styles that you always have available over at Great Lakes?
Yeah. So I always like to tell, like, and I was kind of alluding to it earlier. We've got a really great balance at Great Lakes of the old and the new. So we have the styles I mentioned before that are our foundation.
Mhm.
The two core lagers, Dortmund Gold and Eliot Ness. Eliot Ness is based on an amber lager, like a Vienna style lager.
Yeah.
Edmund Fitzgerald, our famous porter, most awarded porter at Great American Beer Fest. Commodore Perry IPA, but it's an old school English IPA, right? So it's got the pine, it's got the more malt forward presence to it
Yeah.
alongside a more bitter hop expression. So we've got the OGs that have been around for 30 plus years. Um, then we have the new school beers, which are kind of like probably the beers that people who are still drinking beer
Mhm.
will continue to enjoy for the next, hopefully, 10, 20, 30 plus years. And those would be the Midwest IPA family. So we have Midwest IPA. That's our kind of base Midwest style. So clear. We call it Midwest style because it's got the hop expression you want, but it's lower on bitterness. So it makes it a little bit more approachable. It's friendly and nice like us in the Midwest. It doesn't have the bite. So that's why we call it Midwest.
It's a
There's
good
also
name
a
for it.
hazy. Say it again.
That's a good name for it.
Oh yeah, and we distribute our beer primarily in the Midwest, being Great Lakes, so it fits. There's also a hazy version that's not quite as full bodied as some other hazy IPAs out there, so that makes it a little bit more approachable too. And we do have a light beer. All of us in craft beer, we've come crawling back to that style that we initially rebelled against at the beginning. And so Cold Rush, our premium light lagers, 4%, 100 calories, kind of classic light lager flavor,
Mhm.
brewed with the hometown pride for Clevelanders. So we got the great balance of the old and the new. Both are really important. Um, my job is to make people aware of the new stuff because everyone in Cleveland already knows Dortmunder and stuff like that. We don't need to tell anybody about that.
Yeah.
But sampling people on Midwest IPA, the Midwest Hazy, Cold Rush, and things like that. The
Yeah.
other big thing for us, so that's the kind of the core stuff, but are we gonna get seasonal? Is that another question?
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah, we
another
can get
question, is
into
it?
it.
Let's save it. Let's save it for that.
Okay.
Yep. Cool.
Gotcha. All right. And then what do you think your most popular beer is and what makes that special?
Well, this is probably where we can segue into seasonal because it is
Yeah,
the
sure.
Christmas sale. So yeah.
Okay.
Um, Something that's wild about that beer is that it's a beer that we sell for about 10 weeks from mid-October through the end of the year. And despite only being sold in that 10-week frame, it is our highest volume beer.
Really?
Just yeah, totally insane. So that obviously makes it a logistical challenge for the production team to get all that beer brewed, fermented, packaged, shipped out, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the one beer for us at Great Lakes where no matter where you are within where we distribute, which is 17 states at this point.
Hmm.
Is it
Wow.
18 with Florida? 17 or 18? No matter where you are, that's the beer that people will be like, give me that. They'll buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're in Chicago or you're in Tampa or you're in New York City, people will instantly pick up a case of that, no problem.
Wow.
So this beer, for those of you watching who have not had it before, it's Our Christmas ale it's a base amber ale that's 7.5%, and it's got this perfectly balanced blend of honey, cinnamon, and ginger in it
Hmm.
that just evokes the spirit of the holidays in just the right way. That spice blend will, it kind of transports you back to grandma's house and she's baking gingerbread cookies and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that was really important for Pat and Dan to have a beer like this
Hmm.
at their brew pub. And then there's something about that. It's the 7.5%, but the honey like dries the beer out. So it makes it extremely drinkable for the relatively high alcohol content. So you got the drinkability, the spices, the holiday spirit that goes with it.
Yeah.
It ends up being just the perfect beer for the holiday season.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
We're, we're recording this in the afterglow of the holidays right now. I'm still enjoying Christmas ale. I keep my
Yeah.
tree up till early February, but yeah.
Is it still
Um,
around right now for sale?
it is, yeah. The gift shop's still pretty well stocked up. Uh, we had a pretty clean transition to Conway's Irish Ale out there in
Mhm.
the market. So most stores at this point have moved on, but we usually have Christmas ale right up till the bitter end when that code date comes up down in the gift shop. So
Gotcha.
all the stuff that didn't, it, they always have a little bit of back stock, so
Yeah.
it seems.
Well,
So
that's good to have. Good to know.
yeah, I mean, I'm still going. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That kind of reminds me of like almost like Shamrock Shake, where that's like it's such a popular seasonal item
Hmm.
where it's just like everyone is there for that, and that's gonna be
Yep.
oh,
But
that's
if
pretty cool.
we and there are the people who like make it year round, guarantee if you make it year round, it loses some of the luster.
Yeah,
So you gotta have that limited nature to it. So
absolutely.
yep.
That's what makes it work. That and it being tasty, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's the most unique or experimental beer do you think you've had at Great Lakes?
Okay. So for this one, we have two very interesting answers. And one of these was going into the memory vault, it just popped in my head. Uh One of them is called Jabberwocky.
Oh, really?
And the Jabberwocky, yes. Uh, I can't say it. My wife would say, do you know the lines for Jabberwocky?
I
Twas
don't know the
brillig in the
lines.
toothy slimes or whatever in a case. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
That poem. So this is like it's kind of like a Flanders red that I'm pretty sure we did like Solera style, like so like there we had a barrel. I'm pretty sure it's this one barrel,
Hmm.
and it was filled, and I don't know if we just whatever ambient culture was there or whatever was already in the staves or if we inoculated with something, but it
Hmm.
made this kind of tart. I'm pretty sure it's super high ABV too, double digits.
Oh, wow.
So a really interesting beer. Yeah, that's like high gravity Flanders red. And then like we left a little bit in and topped it up with more.
Mhm.
And you kind of see how it develops with each iteration. And this is when I'm pretty sure this is what one of Luke Purcell used to work for us. He now runs Collision Bend Brewery in Cleveland. I'm pretty sure this is one of his things. And it was just one of those things. It's a fun passion project thing. Fill a
Mhm.
one-off keg to bring to that one top tier beer festival or something like that.
Yeah.
And like maybe it was even a surprise. I don't know. Like, oh, Jabberwocky's on tap. So that was that's just a really unusual one for a brewery like us. Like we don't really do all the way down to just one single barrel type thing very often. It's quite rare.
Yeah.
So done a couple one-off casks of like the barrel aged blackout stout and all that. The other one is one that I was involved with and one that's very dear to Pat Conway's heart is we actually recreated a beer. This is working with archaeologists from University of Chicago, so fellow Midwesterners like us,
Cool.
recreating a beer like as if it were brewed in ancient Mesopotamia. Which this is like
Really?
other breweries have done the Ninkasi beer thing,
Hmm.
um, but we did ours on like clay pots and stuff like that, like equipment they would have been using, try to approximate the ingredients that they use. So I bring that up. One, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
It's not something we have the time or capacity to do right now. It was the early 2010s, and everyone was just printing the money and stuff like that. It's like we can do the Sumerian beer, but we got to focus on other stuff right now.
That's
Um,
really cool though.
but
That's
it's
awesome.
cool. Yeah, and it shows like our appreciation for history, tradition, again, our foundations here at Great Lakes. So there's actually a book out there. I'll shout out Tate Paulette, who is the archaeologist we work with. if anyone's listening and they want to learn more about that, he has a book out there called oh, what's the title? I'm blanking on it. If you just search Tape Paulette, like Sumerian beer will pop up. So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was pretty singular. I would say that particular beer is pretty singular.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, it sounds like a lot of work goes into that, especially with like the clay pottery and
It
everything.
was it was an interesting project to be involved with for sure. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's unique. That's a good answer for that question.
Yep.
Both of those.
Who's gonna top that, right? Yep.
Exactly. Good luck, everyone else.
Yeah.
And then, so this is kind of, I guess we already kind of answered this question. I was going to ask about seasonal or limited releases. Are there any other limited
Yeah.
releases that people should be keeping an eye out for after the?
Yeah. And those two we just talked about are very singular, obscure, truly like unusual things. But we have, on top of Christmas Sailor, the seasonal program for us is still very strong. A lot of other craft brewers have seen their seasonal brands kind of like tail off because people just want like I'm trying to not be a crotchety old brewer, but like the next hazy IPA iteration, you know what I mean? Like people are a little bit more interested in that.
Mhm.
Um, our seasonal brands like have just stayed relevant with people. And I think it's a mix of one, they're really good beers, Christmas Ale, Conway's Irish Ale right now, the Oktoberfest in the fall, and then summer we have this Mexican lager with lime. It's a little bit newer compared to the other three, but it's filling that summertime role.
Yeah.
And I think maybe partially because of us is alluding to a later topic, but like I think people in Cleveland still just really appreciate tradition. We love all the new stuff too, but we still appreciate the traditional styles. And then like Conway's Irish Ale, it's got the family connection, it's got the Irish heritage to
Mhm.
it. There's a lot of Irish and German families here. So you
Yeah.
got the Oktoberfest, you got the Conway's Irish Ale. So
Yeah.
our regular seasonal program is still very strong. And then we do some barrel aged stuff like a barrel aged version of the Christmas Ale,
Hmm.
which it's going to add a couple ticks of ABV. It's going to add the vanilla notes from the oak on top of the base Christmas Ale. And then our Imperial Stout, the other big one that's definitely popular with the nerds is like the barrel aged blackout stouts. So blackout stouts are Russian Imperial Stout that nods to the infamous blackout of 2003,
Oh,
where power was lost in Cleveland and through a majority of like the Mid Atlantic region.
wow.
So
I didn't know about that blackout.
yeah, look that up. It was I remember, I mean it was mid-August. We didn't have AC anyways, but no fan. It
Yeah, it
was
makes it a little worse, right?
I was a
It's
teenager,
that
but
much
still.
more unbearable.
What was I, a teenager at that point? Yeah, I was 16. So that's
Wow.
another one. We did a fun mocha flavored variant of the barrel aged blackout stout this past year. So we
Hmm.
do some packaged goodies like that as
Yeah.
well. And then there's stuff down here at the pub. If you come on down here to the brew pub, um, we cook up stuff on that original brew house that's still within the pub. That's you can only get it right here. We'll do stuff on our pilot system. It's a little 2 barrel system that's within the main production facility, and you can find some goodies from that system on the brew
Yeah.
pub tap list too. So
Oh, nice. Well,
yeah,
always something to look forward to, it sounds like. So,
indeed.
absolutely. So for someone new to the world of craft beer, if they were to come to your brewery for the first time, what of your beers would you recommend as an introduction?
Yeah. So I really would say, and this would sound weird maybe 10 years ago, but I really would say the Midwest IPA is the one to go
Hmm.
for somebody new. So and specifically because this beer was designed, it satiates the hopheads. I'm good. I love any kind of IPA.
Yeah.
And I drink it and I enjoy it. But we really did, as we already talked about a little bit, we really did design the Midwest IPA to deliver on the hop flavor that craft beer drinkers today are looking for,
Hmm.
which is that more citrus, fruit forward expression,
Yeah.
not the piney, resiny stuff of old school, but the big time fruit, citrus, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And keeping it easy drinking and approachable by being low on the IBU side. It's not completely devoid of bitterness. It's
Yeah.
got just enough so that it keeps it drinkable. And it doesn't let any of the malt character kind of interfere. There's a light malt, honey malt like foundation to it.
Hmm.
So really when you drink this beer, or like this beer is designed to be approachable for pretty much any kind of beer drinker, whether you're already a craft beer drinker or, as the question is actually being asked, is for those who don't drink craft beer.
Yeah.
And since craft beer is so heavy on IPA and stuff like that, that's kind of a good gateway beer to get people used to the flavor of hops and then
Mhm.
explore the, you know, vast um palette, if you will, of the different IPA expressions out there. So there are
Right.
some people, when I do the samplings, there's still some people who don't even like Midwest IPA. Like not everybody is gonna love it,
Yeah.
but compared to even just 5, 10 years ago, I think that's a great beer to just be like the gateway beer for what craft beer is today.
Yeah, and that's a good way to do it. Some people like to say that like their beer that they'd recommend for an introduction is like whatever they think is the easiest to drink for like a newcomer,
Yeah.
but you also kind of want to introduce them to the craft beer world a little bit more than that.
Yeah. And like
Sounds like it's a people pleaser. It sounds
yeah,
great.
Dortmunder and stuff like that. That's fine and all that. It's a great beer and all that, but
Yeah.
like that's not really representative of what craft beer is about
Mhm.
today.
Yeah.
So I think the Midwest IPA is the way to go.
Yeah. No,
Cold Rush,
that's a
the
great
light beer
answer.
would have been cheating. It's a light beer. You know what I mean? So yeah, that one doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's funny. Um, what's something about your brewery that most visitors should know but probably don't know before they get there?
So I took a slightly different approach maybe to this question.
I know it's a
Um,
trickier question. It's
no, but it's good. I'm a philosophy guy. I like thinking questions. Those are
Mhm,
good. What I like to, and this, especially when I started getting into it, especially when I started to get more involved with like sales marketing side of things, and then with tour people here, is it's very easy for people to think that we are this massive brewery that dominates the market and we have these giant budgets and stuff like that and we can do whatever we want, when in reality we're pretty much just like the 9,000 other craft brewers in the United States outside, the top three are actually do have fairly large budgets, stuff like that.
yeah.
We're a small business. We got to grind every day to make the high quality beer that we make with
Mhm,
relatively limited resources, especially compared to breweries that would be owned by the larger corporations and things like that.
mhm.
We're a lot bigger than the small tap room down the street, right? I mean, we brew 100,000 barrels of beer a year. So, but we're also not owned by no, and I'm not, this is no offense
Yeah,
or anything like that, but we're not owned by a larger corporate brewer
right.
who can lend a lot of funds to a
Yeah, you're
smaller.
independent, right? That's
We're independent. We're still independent, family
mhm,
owned. We're still owned by Pat and Dan,
mhm.
um, which is part of what we love about working here. But that means that it's a challenge. And it's a lot of hard work, and that's part of what makes it rewarding. So
Right.
yeah, it feels like we're a big brewer, but we're not, basically. I like to kind of
Yeah.
instill that in people's minds.
Right.
You get a little bit
Well,
more feels that way and all that stuff.
yeah, well, I mean that's a good answer to that because it's like just that puts it in a position of I mean, you're working hard on your beers. You have to actually like put a lot of effort and a lot of thought into them when you're putting them out. It's not like you have unlimited resources to work with, right? So
Yeah, and stuff changes so fast these days too,
yeah,
that like we're gonna have like, oh my goodness, how many new beers this year? 6, 8 new beers. We're doing all these seasonal
wow.
variety packs, and there are new beers within those packs. That's a new label. It's a new beer recipe for
Yeah,
each one of those.
wow.
Guess what? We didn't hire any people. So
Well, you guys are
we're all
working hard
doing
on your
more.
beers and makes them turn out good.
Yeah. So
Like innovate. So
yep.
that's awesome.
Yep.
How would you describe the Cleveland craft beer scene specifically, and what do you think makes it so special?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, with a lot of the other people you talk to, they mentioned the special nature of craft beer and all that stuff. And it is special. Like
Mhm.
this whole thing was founded on um home brewers sharing their recipes and their beers and their techniques with each other. And it still really does happen 45 years later, 1980 on, since craft beer has been going on. So and it's no different in Cleveland. I can't say for sure because I haven't been in other cities. I don't experience the internal nature of their communities, but I want to say the Cleveland craft beer scene might be even, first of all, the scene itself, there's a wonderful diversity of different kind of brewers. You got us, the granddaddies, Legacy Brewer and all that. You
Mhm.
got some other larger packaging breweries. You've got a good number of tap rooms. Some dabble a little bit more in traditional styles. Some are like big time barrel aged stout, hazy IPA, things like that. So we've got that great mix, and then the people within the scene, I think, is especially tight knit. I have true friends, and not just, I mean, they became friends because we were in the industry together, but I would consider them friends
Mhm.
regardless of the industry.
Yeah.
Um, with the competing breweries in town, including some other larger packaging breweries. The sales reps are all friends with each other. And it's all good. We drink each other's beer. And so higher levels, there's a little headbutting, but the field people we're all friendly, all
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff.
of course. Of course. Only natural.
Share the jockey box, all that stuff. So like, and I think maybe part of why there's this especially tight knit feeling is um a lot, the lineage does go back to us ultimately. So you got us, and then you got like Matt Cole at Fatheads. He used to work for us, and then people work for Matt, like let's say Sean Yasaki at Noble Beast. So there's this lineage that kind of goes back up. Not everybody, but like a
Yeah.
good number of people.
All
So
roads lead to Rome, right?
it gives it the family feel, it
Yeah.
really does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can kind of tell where people came from and everyone knows
Yeah.
you guys. So that's a good way to put it.
Yep.
What other local breweries in the area would you recommend if someone were to like go on a tour of Cleveland and obviously you guys are included, but like what other
Yeah, yeah,
places
yeah.
would people stop at?
So, and I already mentioned a couple right there. So, like, I mean, if you're gonna do the Cleveland brewery hop thing, you're doing it for a day. The real easy thing to do is you got us in Ohio City. There are a couple other brewers down here. There's like Market Garden, Hans's across the street. But if you had to narrow it down, what I would do is Great Lakes,
Hmm.
go downtown, Noble Beast, and Masthead. That's a great 1-2 punch. They're like a 5-minute walk apart from each other.
Oh, cool.
Noble Beast is a little bit closer to the lake itself. I mean, Masthead's just 5, but it's more directly in the almost like the edge of the financial area of downtown. So Noble, they do. He's really able to. He's done a great job of like he'll put a style on that's not intuitive, but everyone knows that he makes such amazing stuff, and like the way that Sean like describes his beers and all that on
Mhm.
social and things like that, like people will come in and drink the I don't know, relatively obscure Belgian single, I don't know, something like that. Styles like that you typically aren't gonna do. I'm not saying they're flying for him either, but like
Yeah.
he's able to put that stuff on and people will come there and drink it.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. They
which
trust the process.
can be tough to do. Yeah, and the food there is absolutely top notch. Masthead is a little bit more that like does well in kind of all craft styles. They have some solid lagers on,
Mhm.
very good with hops, especially hazy. And then my friend Clark runs an amazing barrel age program there. Some really wonderful singular expressions of barrel character and all that. Good pizza there.
Oh, nice.
Fatheads, that's the tricky one because it's not downtown. But like if you're flying into Cleveland, Fatheads has two locations that are both 10 minutes from the airport. So
Okay.
easy peasy. Or if you're driving in from the west or driving in from the south, they're both on right off the major highways. So,
Yeah.
I'll give them the shout. They won Brewery of the Year at Great American Beer Fest this past year in 2025.
Wow.
How
Yeah.
cool is that? Uh, we share in our and we celebrate in our craft brewing community.
Yeah.
The a brewery of the year is in town. As long as we sell more beer than them, it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you're beating them a little bit there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
I would do those three. But there's just so many other good spots in town too. Terrestrial, the list goes on. We
Yeah.
chatting for a little bit.
Of course. I mean, yeah, there's so many, but
Yeah,
what other trends are you seeing in craft beer, and then how do you guys respond to that?
yeah. The broken record type thing that I'm sure you hear from others is that, I mean, I guess people probably are drinking less beer. I think there's been a lot of overblowing of that.
Hmm.
Um, Certainly anecdote. I don't see it. I mean, we see the numbers are down,
Hmm.
right? But I think some of these doomsday articles, I think that stuff's gonna back off this year in 2026.
Yeah.
Um, but like you read the headline grabbing articles and whatever, and then like you just think about some like I'll read there's this industry newsletter I read, and it's like, Gen Z doesn't drink or whatever. It's like Gen Z like started turning 21 during COVID and they haven't had a full-time job yet and all that stuff. Like they don't have any money.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can't buy alcohol if you don't have money, right? So
Yeah.
like,
Give
and
them some time.
we're already seeing Gen Z start to revert to a more normal pattern, right? So
Hmm.
some of the stuff's been overblown, but there's a slight shift happening. So yeah, people might be subbing in that one NA beer, or they might be subbing in have a THC drink at the beginning of the evening
Hmm.
instead of that intro beer or whatever. And if you have all these people who cut out one beer or two beers, that's a lot of beer, right? So that's where, yes, we're developing other some of those alternative products. THC is the first big one for us. So we have something in the gift shop, and we're working on some other stuff as well. But we're pretty much open to anything and everything.
Yeah.
We can do a pretty good amount down. Our canning facility is actually offsite, not too far offsite, but it is offsite. And in that space, we have the ability to do a bunch of non-beer beverages. So we did a hot water at the pub, all that kind of stuff. So we are tinkering with that,
Hmm.
because there is a semi-permanent shift happening there. The beers, I think beer will still be first for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's the same for the other people you talk to probably too. But
Oh, yeah. Yep.
yeah, we're working on that stuff. It's all, I mean, craft beer has always been about creativity,
Yeah.
making new things. And at one point, hazy IPAs were anathema for a lot of brewers, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not beer. That's
Yeah.
beer. Yeah.
Very
Well, now we're not
controversial at
making beer.
first.
That's the only difference is we're not making beer, but yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, no, that's similar to what I've heard about the hazy IPAs too. That's funny.
yeah, I know. That's funny. We get used to stuff and all that.
Yeah.
But I know there are some bad hazies, early on and stuff, but we've cleaned everything up. So we figured it out.
They made their space.
Yeah.
They're here to stay for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So what's coming up that people should be excited about, like new beers, events,
Hmm.
expansions, anything like that? I know you said
So
that you're in 19 states now or 18 states. Something.
yeah, I mean, I forget the exact number. I want to say it's Florida made it 17, but it might have been 18. So that would be the biggest thing for us right now is the Florida
Hmm.
market entry. As you can imagine, I'm sure it's the same for you in Iowa, right?
Hmm.
Um, People like to leave when it's like it is right now for us, right?
Pretty bad, yeah. Like you said, getting
So
a walloping.
so we have a lot of the snowbirds and just people who have permanently moved down to Florida, but they still want Christmas ale and they still want Eliot Ness and Conways and all that stuff. So we finally opened that market up for Christmas sale this past holiday season, and that went well. So we're continuing to send stuff down there. So
Hmm.
Dortmunder, Eliot Ness, Edmund Fitzgerald, and then Conway's Irish Ale, including not just the standalone Conway's Irish Ale, but I alluded to seasonal variety packs at some point earlier in the chat. We're sending that down too. It's the Irish Party Pack, and that's one of the big things for us this year at Great Lakes is like leaning into even further into our strength as a seasonal brewer by doing these like 12 can mix packs that's got the kind of the base seasonal. But then, so in this, it's Conway's Irish Ale, but then there's also Conway's Irish Stout, which is a dry stout, kind of like our version of Guinness.
Hmm.
And then there's an Irish Lager, which would kind of be like our version of a harp, right? So I can say here in Cleveland, that's already been flying.
Yeah.
So surprise, surprise, people love us for our seasonals, so they're really digging that. We have iterations for that coming up for summer, fall, and the holiday season as
Yeah.
well. Um, each one's going to have its own limited time offering beer within the pack too. Some of them have multiple of those as well. At least one does, yeah. but I can't talk about it yet because we haven't announced it. So you have to stay
Well,
tuned to the
absolutely.
socials and all that stuff, right?
Absolutely. And I'll give you a chance to
Oh
kind of
yeah.
link that stuff so people can kind of follow what you're doing.
Yep.
But before we get into that, how do you guys change with the season? We've already kind of touched on some of this, but
Mhm.
how do you guys change with the seasons? Different beers, events, atmosphere. I know that you said decorations kind of change for Christmas and everything.
Yeah, they do. So, on top of the beers themselves, as they change, the pub is also trying to align itself even more intentionally with the seasonal beers that are on the market. Christmas
Hmm.
sale is the easy one that's already been plugged in, right? We have this when we do the first pour of Christmas ale, which is like the Thursday, it's mid October, a Thursday in mid October.
Hmm.
That's when we'll kind of start the rollout of getting things decorated and all that stuff. And it's a major party. It's totally insane. People start lining up at 6 a.m. and they line up around the block.
Wow.
Um, there are hundreds of people in line by the time we open at 11. Whole pub fills up. We do a little VIP contest and some people win the first pour. I get to take them on a little tour before that, which is always a really nice time.
Yeah.
Um, And this is all for a beer that they can buy in the grocery store on Monday too, by the way. So I get line culture when it's like, bro, it's barrel aged imperial stout. There's only 300 bottles, but like when you're lining up for a seasonal beer you can get on Monday at a grocery store, it's like
Yeah. You're
so.
right.
Yeah. So that's an easy one. Of course, we decorate, with beautiful Christmas trees and all that stuff. But they got the Irish stuff going on down there right now. We certainly don't wait till St. Patrick's Day to be Irish, especially being owned by the Conway brothers. So, and we just did a party, a Conway's Irish Ale release party. I'm guessing we'll probably do a Mexican lager release party when that comes out. So, kind
Mhm.
of getting those kickoff events. Oktoberfest is a little different because in Cleveland we have a big Oktoberfest celebration at the county fairgrounds that we sponsor. So we don't necessarily do something at the pub because our presence is a little bit more down there, but
Mhm.
you know, I'm sure they'll do we had live music, like the Oompa band and all that kind of stuff
Mhm.
in past years. Food specials to match the seasons, all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
using the seasonal beer. Sure they're doing that down there. And then the pop-up bars, you got the secret cellar. So during I mentioned that the holiday bar, we call it the secret cellar Christmas bar, we really deck it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we totally, match what's going on in the pub with the seasons and the beers that are out there to match it.
Yeah. Well, that's always good for the atmosphere and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely part of what makes the place what it is
Yeah, it's great to
for a
have.
visit.
So before I get into any of the closing questions, obviously you've been great to interview and you're very passionate about your brewery. Is there anything that I missed that you think that we should talk about or that you'd like to get out there to the audience?
Oh man, there's a lot. I don't want to make it too long, so I don't think I think we hit on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
A little bit of history, the new beers, Midwest IPA family, the Cold Rush, official partners of the Cavs. There's so much stuff going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were pretty
absolutely.
good. And for if I missed something, people just need to come down here and
Yeah,
find what
find
I
out for
missed,
themselves, right?
find out what I missed. Right? Yeah,
Absolutely. All right, good answer.
yeah.
So getting into the closing questions then, if someone could only try three things at your brewery, what would you recommend?
So just like with the intro to craft beer, I would do a Midwest IPA, fresh from the source.
Hmm.
Um, Especially IPA with just the fragile and oxidative nature of hop character.
Hmm.
Best place to try it is fresh. The best place to try it is on sensory panel on Fridays when it's coming fresh out of the fermenter. But
Yeah. It's the
you
best
guys
way
don't
to
get to do that.
experience it.
We get to do that. But yeah. But then you have something that so something that's cool about our brewery, one funky little feature is we actually have piping that goes from the brewery underneath West 26th Street over to the pub.
Hmm.
The reason that's set up is because at one point we were brewing on this side of the street and feeding it to fermenters on the other side of the street. We had an
Oh, really?
intermediary brewery. So then we just reversed the flow once we started brewing across the street. And so what that does is finished beer from a bright tank in the brewery will get drawn off and go directly to a serving tank across the street. Very cool feature. A
That is
lot of the
cool.
times, even breweries that have tap rooms within their brewery, they'll still keg everything off and then hook up kegs.
Yeah,
So you're drinking beer that hasn't touched a transfer, from tank to keg. It's been transferred through a pipe, but
that's pretty
a little bit
cool.
less oxygen pickup from what I know. So you can get a Midwest IPA super, super duper fresh. It really does taste fantastic at the pub. I would try to, snag one of those bar stools at the main bar and have a pint of that.
Yeah.
Christmas ale, fresh on tap during the holiday season, maybe down there in that cellar bar. I
Mhm.
always historically thought the cellar was the perfect spot for Christmas ale. It's cozy down there, but then with all the decorations, it's especially awesome. And we talked about the tour at the top, so I'd say you got to do the tour,
Yeah,
especially having been a former tour guide and all that.
that's important. I mean, you
There's
gotta,
so much more. We've talked for an hour, and there's so much more that you can learn if you go on the tour.
yeah, people just got to go there and find out.
Mhm. And I know
Um,
tours are kind of like a 2010s thing, but like there's so much, ours is different because it's got all, if you don't know the history and all that stuff, it's got that, it's not just like, hey, this is how you brew. I mean, we do a little bit of that, but like there's so much more. I don't know, this is not a knock on anybody else either. It's just all that history and all that other stuff that we do
yeah.
that you can learn about on the
Yeah,
tour.
you guys got a great history there. You're offering, you said 4 samples on the tour as
Yeah.
well. It
hmm
just sounds like a great time. It's a good way
hmm
to spend an hour. What's the best way for people to stay connected with what you're doing? Just to give you a chance to plug your socials and keep
Yeah.
people up to date.
Yeah. So the usual suspects. So Facebook, Instagram,
Hmm.
Instagram. You know what? I'm gonna look it up just to make sure that there's not an underscore, but it's GLBC Cleveland.
Hmm.
But let me just make sure there's not an underscore in there because I feel like there might be. I
Sometimes that
mean,
stuff gets you. I'll be sending an email to someone and I'll not include a like a dot or an
yeah.
underscore. No one's
Of
responding.
course, it's not going to work now, right? I'm pretty sure it's GLBC underscore Cleveland.
Okay.
So our newsletter is fantastic. It's called Microbrew. Definitely subscribe to that. I used to write it, so I have a special affinity for the newsletter.
Hmm.
Confirming the Instagram handle is GLBC underscore Cleveland. There's also a GLBC brew pub, no underscore on that one. So that's for pub specific stuff.
Okay.
Um, we are on X as well. That's where we get a little bit more of the retweet type activity and all that going on, or repost activity. And then, of course, the website has a ton of info, greatlakesbrewing.com.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. And then any final thoughts or messages for someone who might be considering a visit?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say especially if you're a Clevelander and you haven't been down here, or if you're somewhere anywhere in the Midwest, and you haven't made the pilgrimage to Cleveland,
Hmm.
um, which is a fantastic city. Uh, it's more than just the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a great place, but there's more than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here.
Yeah.
So come on down, kind of owe it to yourself. If you're a beer person, you owe it to yourself to visit Cleveland's original craft brewery and kind of the beating heart of one of the premier craft breweries throughout the Midwest.
Yeah.
So
Now's the
simple
time
as
to do
that.
it. That sounds
Simple as
awesome.
that. hmm
Well, thank you, Michael, so much for taking the time to interview with me today. I certainly had a great time learning more about your brewery, and I'm sure my audience will love to hear this.
Sure thing. Thanks, Henry. Thanks for
Absolutely.
the invite. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of
Thanks for all
course.
the great questions.
Yeah, of course. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for today. Be sure to check out some of our other exclusive interviews with the people from the best breweries in the Midwest. Bye now.